A few weeks ago, I introduced you to Ully, the Wonder Bike, the Wonder Fixie, and I just want to tell you why I think this is such a special bike, and I'm so happy to own it. Number one, this is a Pinarello Prince, and this is the model that Jan Ullrich won the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games on. But this bike, I think, represents a particular turning point and of innovation in the cycling industry. So the European guys who are the Tour de France and stuff like that, they don't necessarily, or back in the day, didn't ride the most innovative bikes. They're quite traditional. So these guys are riding around a lot of the time on steel framed bikes, including Pinarellos. Now Pinarello as a brand is exciting. I grew up thinking this is the only bike that wins the Tour de France. Miguel Indurain rode a bike built by someone else but called the Pinarello. 5 Tour de France wins. Bjarne Riis, Jan Ullrich won on Pinarellos. That's a lot of Pinarello victories of the Tour de France in the 90s. Anyway, people are riding steel bikes in the pro peloton, and the bikes we're buying, brands like Cannondale made these aluminium frames, and bikes are getting lighter and stuff like that, and I'm watching TV and they're still riding steel. Anyway, towards the end of the 90s, the pro peloton starts to adopt some of these aluminium frames like Ully is. Aluminium is lighter than steel. It's stiffer than steel, which is great for performance, but it's harsher in the ride. So when you're riding as far as those guys do, I guess that's why they like steel. Anyway, this bike represents a time where aluminium and new innovation was starting to be adopted in Europe. Now it's all carbon fiber and things like that. So this represents a moment of change. So what have we got? Firstly, it's an aluminium frame, and what they did back in the day to try and make this sort of a frame more comfortable to ride was introduce carbon fiber forks, which would absorb some of the road shock. Why is Ully special? Well, up the front here are some innovations that were brand new around 2000 when this bike came out. Not just did it have carbon fiber forks, as bikes had for a while, but Ully was one of the first models to not only feature a carbon fiber fork blade, but the carbon fiber steerer tube as well. Before that, they would have an aluminium tube, maybe an aluminium crown even, bonded to carbon fork blades. But this bike was one of the first to feature a full carbon fiber steerer tube, carbon fiber from just above the dropout to the top of the steerer tube. Nice and light, and again, improving the ride performance. But up the front as well, this is the era where bikes first went from having external headsets that you press in and fit outside to having an internal headset. So this is where the first bikes like this one started to appear with internal headsets, which is just normal on bikes now. But the other thing, and I remember I bought a really nice bike back in the day, didn't have this, and when I saw the Pinarello Prince, this bike come out, I was really jealous. Pinarello took the innovation of a carbon front end and, check this out, put in a carbon rear end. So Ully is an aluminium frame, the Pinarello Prince is an aluminium frame featuring a carbon fiber back end. So it's carbon fiber seat stays, it's a wishbone style, and that way you get some more compliance and a comfortable ride while still being stiff and light. So those big innovations that came about here was the internal headset, the carbon fiber steerer tube, and the carbon fiber rear end, which really became popular. Probably short-lived, because then we all realized, let's build the whole thing out of carbon fiber, and that's what everyone's riding now. But Ully represents that beautiful phase where we went from steel, which everyone had ridden forever, to starting to see some innovation that has just exploded in our time now. Carbon seat pillar as well. But really the thing that's exciting for me is I just love that I'm riding around on a Pinarello Prince, which represents probably one of the best production bikes of its time, has the pedigree of winning the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. I was there in Centennial Park to see Jan Ullrich do that. I love that I've got some cool retro stuff on it, like Shimano 600 cranks and brake levers as well. It's a bit of a Franken bike in that I've got more modern 105 brake calipers, but again, to have these aero brake levers. These were sort of the last great thing before we all went to having STI levers where we change gears up here. This represents the era where we still had down tube shifters. Ully is a fixie. This bike was never designed to be this. This was designed to be a road bike. This particular one, the guy who had it before me had Campagnolo 9-speed record on it. But as you can see, I've made it into a single speed. It's a fixed wheel. Fantastic for training. I love this. It's got Mavic Ellipse track wheels on it. So yeah, it just comes together really nicely. And here's the best part. One of the best bikes in the world in Sydney 2000 I picked up on Facebook Marketplace. I bought this frame, bars, stem, seat pillar for 190 bucks. So pedigree, price, it's pretty. What other P's? I really like it. So I just wanted to introduce you to my Pinarello Prince, or what I've dubbed Ully, the Wonder Fixie. Cheers.